Welcome. I am so excited that you are here. If this is your first time tuning in to the Mary Hyatt Show, I am, as you guessed, your host, Mary Hyatt, and I am a life coach, an entrepreneur, and a presidential diamond with doTERRA. And I love to be on here every week and talk about issues of vulnerability, of authenticity, helping you to find your voice, helping you to wake up and become fully alive. And so every week we get into issues related to showing up in the world, being seen. What does it look like to show up vulnerably, to feel our feelings, to love our bodies, and everything in between. So let's start the show. All right, today's topic is, why are you so needy? I don't know about you, but sometimes there are those themes that come up over and over again in your life that make you go, okay, I need to dig into this a little bit more and see what's going on. And it seems like every single client, coaching client that I have, every friend that I have is really wrestling with being terrified to be needy. In fact, on Monday, I did a short little Facebook Live as sort of a teaser for today's show and asked all of you, hey, do you feel afraid to be needy? Is that something that you struggle with? And I feel like it pretty much resonated with all of you guys as well. And so much so that someone even said in the comments, they said, I probably wouldn't ask for help even if I was drowning. And sadly, that didn't surprise me that we have such an aversion to being needy, this word being needy, asking for help. But as I started to dig into this, I thought to myself, okay, where does all of this stem from? Why are we all so afraid to be needy as women? Why are we all so afraid to ask for help? And ultimately, where are we most afraid to be needy? Where is this showing up the most? Is it at work? Is it as a partner in a relationship? Is it as a friend? Is it just in general everyday life? Like, where is this showing up the most where we have this fear? And here is what you guys actually said. That the top 3 areas where people feel afraid to be needy are relationships, and relationships. Hello. I mean, who can relate to that? That whether it's a romantic relationship or in a friendship, that asking for what we need, taking those walls down and being vulnerable in front of each other to say like, hey, I need something, is literally terrifying. So much so that we would, rather die than ask for help. And I know that I have been there. It's something that honestly I have struggled with a lot. And even this morning, I was talking to my boyfriend and we were getting ready and he was helping me do something. And I was like, no, I got it. Like, don't even worry about it. And he looked me dead in the face and he said, let me help you. Let me help you. But I was terrified of being needy. And here I am creating this conversation for today's Facebook Live show. And I'm still in that space of kind of tightroping. Where is the line? How much is too much? When do I, not have any grace for asking for things that I need? And there's a real fear there. And here are some of the fears that you guys talked about on Monday in the comments of the Facebook Live that I did. He said, the fears of being needy are the fear of looking weak, the fear of rejection, like what happens if I ask for something and somebody doesn't give it to me, the fear that maybe your needs will push people away, that you'll be too needy, and the fear of being viewed as dramatic or exaggerating. Okay, Jesse, you're saying bingo, which is odd because I love feeling needed in a relationship. Yeah, like one of my favorite things to do is to give. I absolutely love to give. Ask me anything, I'm your girl, I'm gonna do it. But when we flip that, and then it comes to me to be needy or to ask for something, the scales are off there. Like, it's a double standard. I have a really challenging time doing that. So if that is true for you too, like if there's that imbalance, like kind of a double standard, well, you guys just type in a number 1 in the comments below. Just type in a number 1 if you can identify with that, if that resonates with you, that you would rather be the giver than the receiver. Type in a number 1. Feel free to say anything else along those lines. But in essence, what we really believe on I think mostly a subconscious level, is that having needs equals being needy, which equals being weakness. And asking for help equals weakness. That essentially being needy means that we are weak and that we are vulnerable. And that opens us up, being weak, being vulnerable, that opens us up to rejection. That opens us up to being susceptible to all this stuff out here. And so in our brains, we've kind of made this agreement with ourselves that we're safer not asking for anything. We are safer not having any needs, which is just fascinating to me. But I really want to dig into this a little bit deeper because this is really real. I mean, we are literally, as women, walking around pretending that we don't have any needs. We are walking around exhausted, trying to keep up this illusion that we don't have any needs, that we're fine, we don't need the help. But I know that's not really what's true inside of ourselves. And and you guys are all saying 1, totally, thank you for that. What I'm realizing is that this is not our fault. This is learned. Okay, so think about this for a second. You didn't just decide out of thin air that it doesn't feel safe to vocalize your needs. You've been taught that somewhere along the way, and collectively as a culture, we have been taught that it's not safe to vocalize our needs. And I think sadly, we've been taught this from a very early age. We have been taught as women to play small, to be physically small, to be quiet, to do what we're told, to please everybody else, to put everybody's needs on top of our own, to make sure that we're not being too emotional, that our emotions aren't too messy. And we have trouble saying no. We have trouble speaking up. God forbid we ask for help, And we're supposed to just go, ignore our needs, suck it up, show up for people, get it all done. And we have never been taught how to ask and vocalize our needs as women. And we believe that if we do, that makes us weak. I know that so many of my clients have literally been told verbatim, there is no space for your needs. You have no right to your emotions, from their father, from teachers, from other adults, that basically like what you need doesn't matter. And so what happens when we go on pretending that we don't have any needs? Here's the weird thing. We end up getting super neurotic. Okay, let's be honest. Renee, you said that asking for help and not getting help then adds to the rejection. Yeah, exactly. It's risky. And because of that, we get super neurotic and we start trying to control ourselves out of our own needs. We try to control everything so that we never have to feel needy. I'll do it. I've got it handled. Like, we go above and beyond, doing more and more and more so that we protect ourselves from a potential rejection or being perceived as weak or vulnerable. And so we start having this weird control game that's going on, and we never let our guard down. And we start being really, really hard on ourselves. We start adding in some shame, adding in the judgment, when we even feel a little inkling like, oh, I need that help. And we start just ultimately shaming ourselves at the hint of being needy. We muscle up, we get hard, we start putting up all of these walls, we stop being ourselves, we stop being honest, we are afraid to be exposed, afraid to be seen, because everything that we're doing is trying to hold up this persona that we've got it all together. And that creates so much anxiety. That creates a lot of emotional exhaustion. And Heather, you said, I think I feel unloved. Yeah, totally. And all of this kind of muscling up, this putting the walls up. I'm fine, I'm okay, I don't need any help. It's all good, I got this, I can handle it. Let me give more to you. Even though I'm freaking exhausted. That's the opposite, in my opinion, of femininity, of softness, of that vulnerability, of that ability to be honest with where we are and our needs. And, we're all just kind of trying really hard to keep our shit together. And yet I know there is this deep desire inside of ourselves for someone to just ask how we're doing, for someone to just reach out to us. But we ultimately block that. Because how can anybody say, hey, are you doing okay? Do you need anything? If we have all these walls up and we're pretending that we just have it all together. And because we're not even willing to recognize the own needs that we have, basic needs that we have, then we start looking to other people to try to meet those needs. Because we're not okay with ourselves, we're not okay with ourselves having those needs, we end up being really lonely as well. And we start putting that responsibility on other people. And let me just, guys, I'm just going to pause something here because here we go. My connection started to go really, really slow. Okay, there we go. But we start putting that responsibility on other people. We start looking to them to meet this deficit inside of ourselves because we are afraid to admit that we need things. We don't meet those needs. And then we kind of scan and say, who can meet these needs? And we start looking around. We start sort of outsourcing our self-care to other people. And then we wonder, why people don't love us in the way that we need to be loved. We start having a ton of expectations on other people that we have relationships with because we don't speak up for what we need. We assume that people just should know. Especially think about your romantic relationships if you're in one, or your friendships. Think about how often you might get frustrated in your relationship because somebody's not doing what you want them to do or meeting a need that you have. And what happens is we're setting them up for failure. We're like basically delegating a job that we should be in responsibility for in our own selves. And we hand that over to somebody else and say, you meet my needs. You fill up this gaping hole inside of myself because I got to keep pretending that everything is okay. And what happens is that basically nobody can do that for us. And so we get frustrated. We start blaming and we think that our lack of connection, our lack of belonging, our lack of love is somebody else's fault. Now, this all stems back to that belief that being needy equals weak. So we have to work on redefining what it means to be needy. We have to change the definition from asking for help and being needy means vulnerable, means being weak, means open to rejection. If that's what we believe, we will never ask for what we need. We'll keep trying to pass it off to somebody else. We'll get frustrated that they're not meeting that need. In reality, that's our responsibility to meet our own needs. So we have to redefine it. So let me just get some thumbs up from you guys, some hearts from you guys, if this is resonating before I get into how do we redefine this. Is this clicking with you? Is this making sense? Is this what you've been feeling? Do you see how this creates this weird neurotic behavior inside of ourselves? Okay, thank you guys. I'm loving the hearts. I'm loving that. It's kind of weird to get up here by yourself and just talk to a screen. So I love seeing y'all's interaction. This is so great. Okay, So let's talk about, as we begin to redefine what needy means, so that we can have a more empowering definition that allows us the space to ask for what we need. I want to identify 3 truths that I believe that are true about being needy. Because the lie, the falsehood, the misbelief, the limiting belief is that being needy, asking for help equals being weak. And that's not an empowering belief. So I don't want to believe that. I don't want y'all to believe that. So I want to share with you what I believe are my 3 truths about being needy, so that we can begin to redefine this in a way that gives us permission to ask for what we need. And the first truth is that being needy means you are human. Just in case you didn't know this, we are not robots on autopilot who just get to, sweep the floors and vacuum the floors while we're smiling. I just think about those 1950s commercials and ads. That's not reality. That's an old paradigm. We are human, and it's okay to be human. It is okay to be human. And having needs means that you're human. Y'all, we are human. And the way I kind of think about this is let's think about kids for a second. We have to make peace with the fact that we are needy human beings. We were needy when we were children. When you think about when you came out of the womb, you needed things to survive. You needed your mother's breast milk. You needed to be changed. You needed to be held so that your brain developed properly. You needed to be soothed when you were crying. And to be honest, none of that has changed. We still need to be hugged. I don't know what the stat is now. It's you need to be hugged 7 times a day. If you get hugged 7 times a day, will you please comment below? I want to know your secret to that. But we still need physical touch. We still need to be fed. We still need to be nourished. We still need to be soothed and taken care of. And, if you think about a mother who fed us, who clothed us, now we have to shift that and be a good mother to ourselves, being a good parent to ourselves. You would never shame a little child who was tired, who needed to take a nap, who wasn't feeling a connection with the person and didn't want to give them a hug, who was having a difficult time at school and was having a difficult time learning something new or making friends. We would never judge a little child for that. We would help meet their needs as a parent. And so those needs don't go away when we become an adult. Being human means we are needy. And we now have to be a loving parent to ourselves. A parent who goes, I hear you, and let me help to meet that need. This morning, yesterday I worked out really, really hard, and I pulled a hamstring a month ago. And I'm still really working on this relationship with my body and loving it and trusting it, creating this trust with my relationship with my body. And so the bully inside of myself this morning said, side note, pulled this hamstring. Yesterday, after I worked out, I went on this long walk with a good girlfriend of mine, and my knee was killing me. So this morning, the bully inside of me was like, get up. You have this appointment with your trainer. You have to go. Just suck it up. Deal with it. And so I had to meet myself in a space where I was being a loving parent and saying, you know what, sweetie, you're hurting. It's okay to cancel. It's okay to let your trainer know that your body is asking for rest and that you are going to honor that. So sweetie, send him a text. You're loved. You're cared for. It's totally fine. Your body is on your team. And why don't you give it some space to heal and to rest? That is being a loving parent to yourself. That is what it looks like. And the reality is that we aren't meant to do it all ourselves in this world. That being human means that we have to sometimes ask for people to come alongside of us and support us. That we're not meant to be isolated on our own. And being a human means that being in community is a powerful gift that we have, that we get to be in relationship with other humans. And so I kind of want to break this down for a second. So again, we're not going to tell a child to suck it up. If they're cold, we would give them a jacket. We would help to meet their needs. So we have to do that for ourselves. And one of the most amazing gifts that you can do is being a good parent to yourself. And it's okay to want to be loved. Think of it being needy. It is okay. It's okay to want to have better communication with your partner. It is okay to want to be intimate with other human beings. It's okay to want to be cared for, to be thought of, to be cuddled, to be loved, to be hugged, to be kissed, to be sexed. It's okay to be emotional, to have emotional needs, to have sexual needs inside of a relationship. There's a big difference between having needs inside of a relationship and being clingy and codependent. There's a big difference there. It's normal to have needs. And we have to accept the fact that we are human beings. And we have to speak up and ask for love and to be willing to receive that love when it is offered. And we have to actively take care of our own basic needs, ultimately, to be that good parent to ourselves so that we're not looking for somebody else to fix that, to fix us, to fill up this gaping wound that we have, but that we are able to meet so many of our own needs by being a nice, kind parent to ourselves. And then in a healthy, beautiful relationship, being vulnerable enough to show up as a human being who has needs, because denying any part of that is denial of your human existence. It is safe for me to have needs. I'm allowed to be human. I love that. I'm allowed to be human. And I want to address Heather's comment. She said, does my having and being okay with my needs give others permission to be needy too? Absolutely. There's something powerful that happens. And Heather, I'm so glad that you brought that up. There's something that happens, and this brings me straight into our second truth about being needy, that when you are asking for help, when you're being needy, it's the only way to truly help others. It gives people permission to also ask for their needs. It frees everybody up, ultimately. But I love this quote by Arianna Huffington. She wrote this incredible book called Thrive, which I'm obsessed with. And she said, the better people are taking care themselves, the more effective they'll be in taking care of others. The better people are at taking care of themselves, the more effective they'll be in taking care of others, including their families, their coworkers, their communities, and their fellow citizens. When you're on an airplane, think about this for a second. When you guys are on an airplane, what do they say? Secure your own mask first before helping others, even your own child. Because after all, it is not easy to help somebody breathe easier if you're fighting for air yourself. Oh, sorry, wrong quote. Let me go back here. After all, it's not easy to help somebody else breathe easier if you're fighting for air yourself. I just feel like that is the key right here, that it is okay for you to put your oxygen mask on first, to prioritize your own needs, to make sure that you are meeting your needs first, because then when you're doing that, you are able to serve in full capacity. When you take care of yourself first, when you meet your own needs first, when you rest when you need to rest, when you drink enough water, when you eat food, when you take a look at what emotionally is coming up and give yourself the space to process emotionally what's happening and being kind and gentle with yourself, working with a coach, working with a therapist, journaling, reading, whatever that is, when you're taking care of yourself, that is when the best version of yourself can show up. When you're depleted, when you're exhausted, when you say, I've got this, I'm in control, I don't need y'all, I can handle it. How do you show up in the world? You're exhausted. You're resentful of other people. You are not your true self, so you're hiding yourself. You're pretending, which leads to anxiety, which leads to exhaustion. And I know that when I meet my needs first, that is a happy Mary. When I take a nap, when I need to take a nap, when I cry, when I need to cry, when I vocalize my needs, when I ask for help, when I draw healthy boundaries, when I say no, even when I'm feeling pressured to say yes, when I need a glass of wine, all of that, when I am taking care and being gentle with my own self, that allows me, like Heather is saying, to extend that to other people, to show up as the best version, the healthiest version, so that I can love on people, that I can serve from a place that is non-judgmental, ultimately. So the third truth that I know about being needy is that it demonstrates emotional strength. I love talking about this because, again, if we're redefining this association that being needy, asking for help equals weakness, let's change that to say having needs as a human being and prioritizing myself first is emotional strength. Being needy means that I am clicked into my intuition. I'm aware of what I need in that moment. I'm honoring that voice inside of myself, and I'm respecting that. I am meeting that need. And ultimately, that is emotional strength. That is a high level of emotional intelligence. And we can begin to ask ourselves on a daily basis. I ask myself this very, very frequently. When I'm feeling myself getting a little emotional, when I'm feeling myself being in that neurotic hyper-control state, which is covering up a baseline need that I have, I pause, take a couple deep breaths, and then I ask myself a couple questions. I ask myself, what is my highest need right now? What is my highest need right now? How can I kindly meet that in myself? How can I be that loving parent? How can I meet that need inside of myself? How can I honor that inside of myself? And how can I respect that need in a way that leaves the judgment over here? That I release any judgment that I might have around asking for help. I was watching this life class with Oprah and Brene Brown, who y'all know I'm a huge fan of. And she dropped this bomb, this incredible truth bomb. And I wanted to share it with you guys. When you cannot ask for help without self-judgment, you are never really offering help without judgment. I'm going to read that to you again. When you cannot ask for help without self-judgment, you are never really offering help without judgment. Like, that to me is such a light bulb moment. Raise your hand by typing in a number 2 in the comment section. Just write down here, type in a number 2 if you have judgments around yourself for asking for help. If that feels like normal for you, that you judge yourself, that you feel shamed when you ask for help, like, why aren't you stronger? Why can't you just figure it out? All of those self-judgments, if that is true for you, Jesse, you said it too, Sandy, you said it too. Yeah, this is so normal. So what happens is when we judge ourselves for asking for help, we can't help but every time somebody asks us for help, we judge them. So if you are somebody who prides yourself on being a people pleaser, on being a helper, on giving a lot of love to other people, but you can't ask for it or receive it, then every time you go out to help somebody, you're judging them for it. And then you can't even freely give, which is really, really interesting. And so when we can meet our needs with that gentleness, with that kindness, then that emotional strength, we're fully tapped into what's happening emotionally for us in our bodies, in our emotions. So being needy means like we're in sync, we're in alignment with ourselves. That gives us a really high level of emotional intelligence. And ultimately, it's freedom. Having that emotional strength is freedom, because then you are free to show up as your true self in all your humanness. You don't have to hide. You don't have to pretend anymore. That you don't have to chase perfection. That you are free to be seen as your true self, free to express yourself emotionally, which is so incredibly powerful. So incredibly powerful. So as we're looking at these 3 truths, that it's okay to be human, that it's going to ultimately help other people when we prioritize our own needs first, and that lastly, that being needy means that it helps to demonstrate that emotional strength, that it raises our level of emotional intelligence. We are able to just deal with life in a completely new way, with new freedom. So I want to ask you guys a couple questions to kind of self-reflect. Obviously, because I love coaching, this is part of the work, is to get into this stuff, to hear it, and then go, okay, now what do I do? So I want to leave you with these questions. And feel free to share this in the comments, because this would be an awesome conversation to have, because you're not alone in this. But what is the need that you have been ignoring? What have you been muscling up on? What have you been controlling? What have you been pretending? Like, what is, if you could name one need, the highest need that's coming up for you, what is the need that you have been ignoring? I love these kinds of questions. What is that need for you guys? Second, and feel free to answer this in the comments below, and we can have a conversation. Second question is, I love this. It's a very gentle question to ask yourself. What is asking for attention right now? What's asking for attention? What need? What emotion? What is asking for attention right now? Tap into that gut feeling. Feel it. Like, what is asking? What have I been avoiding? What have I been ignoring? What have I been pushing down? What's coming up? Whitney, you said connection, like actual deep connection. Whitney, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I have literally had Facebook message after Facebook message about this very thing. That a huge need that people are having right now is connection, is authentic connections, friendships. So yes, Whitney, thank you for sharing that. Renee, you said my health. That's the thing that you have been ignoring. And so, Renee, asking yourself, what do you need? What do you need? Is there a way that you can help meet that need inside of yourself? What does your body need? What do you need in a relationship? If you're thinking about maybe your marriage or your partner or even a best friend, this is where, because again, that's like the highest piece, right? That we're most afraid of being needy in. Then this is going to feel the most vulnerable. So in your relationships, what's something that you've been ignoring that you actually need, that maybe you need to ask for or speak up and vocalize? Where have you been pushing it down in your relationships? What do you need in your business? What do you need in your business? To give yourself permission to say no? Maybe you need to extend a deadline to a project. Maybe you need to push yourself a little more. I can't say what that is, but what is a need that you've been ignoring inside of your business? And then how can you give yourself permission to be needy? I love this question. How can I give myself permission to be needy? This is something that I encourage you to write on a sticky note and put up somewhere where you can see it. I give myself permission to ask for help. That's what this takes. It takes you giving yourself permission to ask for help, that you redefine it for yourself. And then ultimately, looking at the slide again, giving yourself permission to be human. I'm allowed to be human. This isn't something that is reserved, whoa, hello hair. This isn't something that is reserved for other people, but that I'm allowed to be human as well. That this isn't okay for Sarah and for Karen and for Jessica to be needy. Like, yay, like I'm going to encourage you because you're my friend to be needy. No, that we are a good parent to ourselves and say, hey girl, it is okay to be needy. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to be human. That I give myself permission to ask for what I need. I give myself permission to slow down and to meet my needs, the ones that I can meet. Denise, you said that you struggle with this so much. I hear that. I so hear that, and I know that everyone on this conversation and on this Facebook Live show is feeling the same way. I mean, it just keeps coming up over and over again, and this is where nobody can give you the permission. As long as you continue to define having needs as needy, as weakness, you'll never feel free. You will always continue to have to keep up this persona. And so we have to shift the definition. That asking for your needs means I am emotionally checked in with myself, I'm strong, and it means that I'm human. It means that I can ultimately serve the world in a better capacity when I prioritize myself first. This is what we need, is more of us to say, you know what? I don't have to be ashamed of my needs. It's okay to use my voice and to speak that, hey, like, can you help me? Can you come over? I need this. And then, of course, taking care of your own needs, your own biological needs of eating and drinking and resting. Taking care of yourself and being that loving parent. So that is what I'm going to leave you with, is how can you give yourself permission to be needy? And that we take the trigger off of the word needy and see that as an okay word, that we're redefining what that word means. How can you give yourself permission to be needy? All right, guys, thank you for your comments and for your honesty inside of this discussion. I love that we've cultivated this safe space to have these dialogues. So incredibly important. And just to remind you to grab this free resource, the Love Your Body Affirmation Cheat Sheet, that free download. You can click above on the link to get this, to help you shift that dialogue inside of your head as it relates to your body, how you view your body, how you speak to your body, so that you can lovingly work your way to a better relationship with your body. Because you cannot bully your way, hate your way to a body that you love and a body that you accept. So hopefully you will grab that. But thank you for being on today. I loved having this discussion with you. I hope you'll have a fabulous rest of your week, and to remember that the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I will chat with y'all soon.